We're being joined via Zoom by a former senator representing, who represented Ogun Central in 1999 to 2003. He also chaired the 13-member advisory committee for the 2014 National Conference. Months into all of National Conference, was an advisory chairman of the advisory committee that led to that conference in 2014. Senator Femi Okurumo joins us via Zoom in Abeokuta. Senator, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
We're also being joined from our Abuja studio by Mr. Tajuddin Yusuf, a former federal lawmaker. Mr. Yusuf, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.
All right, let me come to you, Senator. I know you've been on this for a very long time. In fact, what you may be seeing now, I don't know how you received some of this news about the contemplation over the issue of state police. Before we go to the issue of the parliamentary or presidential system of government, I know you have been at the forefront at some point in 1999 about some level of conversation in this direction. How did you take this development from the presidency and the governors?
I think it shows that we're finally ready to begin to do the right thing. All along, we all know the right thing, but we lack the political will to do it. But now circumstances are forcing us. Circumstances beyond the control of everybody are forcing us now to actually do the right thing. If we look at all advanced democracies, whether it is the presidential system or the parliamentary system, let's look at America and let's look at Britain, which are examples of presidential and parliamentary democracies. In both, almost every city has its own police. You have the London police, you have the Manchester police in the UK. Every city has its own police force. In America, every town, every city has its own police force. There's the Boston police. In fact, every county has its own police. So the federal police, which is the FBI, they only call them to assist when they need their help. Ordinarily, it is the police of the immediate branch of government. If it's the local government, to be the county police. If it's the state, it is the state police. It is the police that takes care of the security of the people. It's only when they cannot handle it, they call upon the FBI, which is the federal police. So a centralized police force is an aberration. There is no democracy in the world other than Nigeria that I know, where you have a centralized police force covering, looking over 220 million people and 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. It cannot work. So I think we are finally seeing the light. So that the president is now thinking about having a state police, I think I can congratulate him for it.
Let me come to you, Honorable Tajuddin. When I looked up the 2014 National Conference report, almost 900 pages of that document, some of the people who stood against it before it was adopted as part of the things the country should consider, the cons were there were fears of this could lead to disintegration. It could lead to abuse, talking about politicians abusing this, so using it to fight their political opponent. Given the fact that most of the states are dependent on fact, else they will be insolvent. There were issues of funding. Some said it's anti-retrogressive. Some even raised the issue of jurisdictional conflict. Those were the people that were against it. Looking at what is going on, because the president said they are going to look at this and modalities and all of this. So how do we walk around some of these concerns that were raised? Because the dissenting voices also need to be considered in moving forward.
I agree with you perfectly. But the essence of having these dissenting voices is to make you look at the situation properly so as not to, have a reason to regret your action. People talk about you being controlled by those in power and what have you, and I ask, is the federal police not being controlled right now? Is it not being manipulated? First of all, we are under police. We have the ratio by United Nations should be by, I guess, 40-1. But I think we are over one policeman to over 2,000. So we are under police. Every issue that is true, that is constitutional, can be tackled by the parliament. That's why I like the idea of the fact that is the president and the governors are in sync with this. So, because unfortunately, with the state assembly right now in Nigeria, not yet that being able to operate independently to take decisions without the influence of the governors. So without the buy-in of the governors, it might be difficult for it to pass. So every amendment that needs to be done should be done. But more importantly, why I'm worried about some things. It is maybe computer parlance, garbage in, garbage out. Have we changed the orientation, the mindset, the training, and the ethical values of the police? Because if you are going to replicate what you have now at the federal, in those states, we're in trouble. Like the senator just said, Britain has over 46 different police units and departments. How do I call it? Different police forces. They specialize. Some are purely for border, some are for poetry. I mean, you find in Britain, police arresting police. The traffic police will arrest the normal police for breaking traffic. But Nigeria, we bundle all together and have one IG that is, to me, too powerful and ineffective to manage things. So every of the challenges raised can be tackled and must be looked into. But of a truth, either you call it state police or whatever, we need to unbundle the police. We need to unbundle the police. We must have specialized policing. Those who are in the neighborhood who manage things as simple as even border, what have you. In other crime, like in Britain, you had the the interior handling both immigration and the police. So rather than even having custom men at the border policing the border, they are there to do administrative work. You had border police. That's just like in America. So we need to embody the police. We need to. And where we are right now, we need to tinker with the structure we have and come out with a model that will better serve us. How do you post a policeman from maybe Kebbi to my community in Kaba to come and investigate a crime? He does not know the environment, does not know. How does he even operate? When you know very well, can you walk freely when the situation, the security challenges are high? Can you walk freely in the night as a police officer? I talk of where you don't know, you don't speak the language. So there must be local police that will collaborate with the federal police if need to be. So I agree, whatever name, either state police or unbundling the police, where each city has its own police or local government has their county have their police, we need to unbundle the police force.
Senator, let me come to you. I want to look at this from the prism of those who are worried about it. But since I talked about those who were against it, let me also mention that the people that were for it talked about better intelligence and response time. And as the Honorable has said, they said there's no data to verify that the federal government has better integrity compared to the state. Those were the argument then. But let's come to some of the issues raised. Senator, how do we insulate these police, if eventually it comes through, from abuse by governors? Because that potential is there.
The governors are citizens like the president. They are not from different planets. The governors come from the same environment like the president, like the federal officials. If governors can abuse it, the abuse will not be more than what is being done right now by the federal authorities. But if by having one control, by having the entire police force controlled by the federal government, that is subject to more abuse, greater abuse, more severe abuse. Because it means one man, the president, can tell the police to harass anybody from any part of the country, fairly or unfairly. It means that the president can direct the police, can order the police to carry out his will, either in accordance with the law or against the law, just to satisfy himself and satisfy his political interests. So if one man can abuse the entire police force of the country, it is better to split the abuse. Instead of one man abusing it, let 37 people be abusing it. Each man has less police force to abuse.
Wow.
That is my if the governor can abuse, the president can abuse, and the president is abusing. You look at what the police do during elections. During elections, the police are supposed to be there to protect the voters and make sure that everybody votes peacefully But once the IG has his directives as to what party to support, the police go there, they will stand by while the thugs are beating people of the opposition party and allowing people of the prepared party to go and cast their votes while they are beating and whipping and talking.
Senator, if I understand you very well, I'm looking for answers, but it looks to me like your response is more like, rather than one abuse, you say, let's duplicate the abuse as much as possible. That doesn't sound like a solution, because the central argument is against abuse.
If the abuse is in the hands of 37 people, it is less treacherous, it is less severe. It is better than one man be able to abuse the police throughout the country, as it is now.
Okay, Senator, your point is actually noted, but I don't think citizens who are ready for that level of proliferation of abuse at all. But I did say we're going to talk about...
Sorry, I have to correct you. That is not a proliferation of abuse, a reduction of abuse. Okay. You take at one level of abuse, you divide it into 37 parts, so each state is only suffering 1/37 of the abuse it was suffering before. So in fact, it is only a minuscule part of the abuse it was suffering under one man.
Well, this is a rare... This is let me come to Honorable Tajuddin. Honorable Tajuddin, I don't know what your response will be to this particular issue. Well, the senator has given his position on this worry over abuse. What's yours in like 30 seconds before I ask other questions?
I raised something fundamental, that what is our ethical standard? We should be more interested in raising the bar and making the police more responsible and more fair and just. What is the training models? How do they emerge? Presently, as the police is constituted, can you say that we have this police force that is disciplined and what have you? And I said something. I say, in the computer parlance, garbage in, garbage out. If you replicate what you have now in state police, then we're in trouble.
Okay, because of we don't have the luxury of time, I needed to squeeze in two major conversations in one. Let's now switch gears to the issue of this call by the 60 lawmakers that we should switch gears to the parliamentary system of government. In fact, Mr. Tajuddin, I will start with you on this one. They talked about the reason to ignite and provoke a national conversation, ensure robust public debate on this. These are some of the things they hope for. But fundamentally in the bill, they are looking at replacing the president with prime minister as head of government and establishing office of president as ceremonial leader. They talked about shifting the process of electing governors and chairmen of local government from general election to voting with their respective legislative bodies. What's your response?
Let me take the election leg. I think if we can have election a bit not too staggered, will reduce the influence of manipulation. Two, if you know that the local government and the whatever election is controlled by the one body that has some degree of insulation from being manipulated, it might help. But let me dig into the parliamentary issue or what they debate. I love the idea that they say they want to have a debate about an already bill. You want Nigerians to kind of, come out with ideas, make it robust. But the major reason why people are charging for such a thing is the fact that what we have now is not delivering. Ghana has a very unique democracy. They have a parliamentary presidential. The president is elected in general election. But the parliament is part of the government. You have ministers serving in the government as members of parliament. First of all, there's this argument, which I want to concur with, that it reduces the cost of government. Two, that it breaches the gap for citizens to reach out to their people in government. Because the minister will come to the parliament and sit while members of the parliament are bringing the issue in their constituency to him right there. What we have right now, being in parliament, I have worked in the parliament reasonable for 3 terms, and I understand that if the executive does not feel comfortable with certain things, the parliament is looking for those in the executive have a way of foot dragging or find a way to excuse themselves from appearing to answer those questions. It is ideally wrong. That should not be the practice. But unfortunately, because of our background, the military rule and what have you, those who are in the executive field, who are you to question me? Why do you dare to question me? We are not there yet. In fact, it's so bad that even budgets are implemented in partial of the fulfillment of what is in the allocation in the budget.
Honorable Tajudeen, let's not.
I have the opinion that we should discuss.
No, you can land on your thought, please. Just land on your thought. Apologies. Just land on your thought.
I'm of the opinion that it should be discussed, debated, and let Nigerians take a decision. But for truth, we need to think of what we have and bring something new that will help us reduce cost, bring government close to the people more. The idea of having people insulated and having a gap, the Parliament too has major role to play. We are not there, especially in the state. We don't have a vote at all. A Parliament that has a voice.
All right, let me go to Senator Okoromo as quickly as possible. Senator, do you agree that it should be a total shift from presidential to parliamentary, or we should adopt what the 2014 confab said, what they call the modified presidential system? You just have a minute, sir.
I agree we should go back to the parliamentary system. That is what we were operating between 1960 and the military intervention in 66. The parliamentary system is cheaper and more effective and more accountable than the presidential system. To begin with, the presidential system, as it has turned out in Nigeria, is it breeds corruption and promotes corruption and defends corruption. In fact, it is one of the things that is multiplying corruption in Nigerian society and making our society very corrupt. In the presidential system, we're supposed to have three arms which are more or less separate. We call it separation of powers. But in Nigeria, there is no such thing. The separation of powers is just in theory. In practice, there's only one power, and that's the presidency. Once the president bribe the National Assembly and give them the leeway to be as corrupt as they want, then the National Assembly in turn give the president the leeway to be as corrupt as they want. All we have is everybody corrupt. So the National Assembly will be corrupt, the presidency will be corrupt, the judiciary will be corrupt, and everything. Nobody can be punished because of them get together. They are all corrupt.
All right, Senator Femi Okoromo, former senator representing. My sincere apologies, Senator. I understand we're totally out of time. I just wanted you to land on your thought, but technical issues as well. Former senator representing Ogun Central from 1999 to 2003, Senator Femi Okoromo. Thank you so much for coming through on the program. Thank you for your insight. I also want to thank Mr. Tajudeen Yusuf, former lawmaker. I know, Mr. Tajudeen, you have a lot to say on this, but luxury of time is what we don't have. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you.